My mom lost all of her children and as revenge, set my brother-in-law's house ablaze. Hello people, I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with family that love you. We did have a wonderful Thanksgiving, but it got outshadowed by my mom going full pyro. Here's an update about my Thai mom, but first I'll talk about my sister. Just go read my previous post if you want to catch up. For the people who don't know, my little sister was extremely entitled and bratty just like my mom. And who, just like my mom, baby trapped her boyfriend. Instead of ignoring her like me and my other sibs do, she had her head up my mom's. When my mom was arrested, my sister told me that it was my fault. That I ruined the family, and when she sees me she is going to kick my. Some nights ago my husband woke me up and told me that my sister was at our house on our porch. My husband asked, what do we do? Call the cops? I mean, that was my first plan because it was like 4 o'clock in the morning and I don't like my sister, but I'm an adult and I can use my words. I told my sister to leave because, 1, I don't like her, and 2, it was 4 a.m. But, I realized my sister was crying and in her arms was her new baby. She told me that living with our mother was awful and she couldn't go back to that house. I asked, after all she did to my family, why should I help her? And how did I know that her cry for help was not a way to trap one of us? She just kept crying, begging me for help. Then something in me snapped. That big sister in me, that I hit over the head with a shovel and buried in the backyard years ago, came back to life. I told my husband to get my baby sister. When my husband came back with my sister, she looked awful. We talked for hours and it was very emotional for the both of us. We just cried and my sister begged for my forgiveness. She was just apologizing for all things she done, from taking our mother's side to calling my daughter and I retarded. Both of us are autistic and I'm pretty sure my husband is also. Then she started apologizing to my husband. My sister got on her knees just apologizing and begging us not to send her back to my mom's. As my sister and I talked, I found out how bad my mom got. My mom became abusive towards my sister, hitting and yelling at her even when my sister did something that our mom approved of. When my siblings and I were younger, I always took the hits for them. Like if my sister drew on the wall with crayon, I'll tell my mom I did it, so my sister wouldn't get in trouble. I was the oldest, so it was my duty to shield the little ones. My mom was having loud sex with man all over the house, the living room, the kitchen, even in my baby nephew's room. My mom was doing pills now and tried to get my sister into it. My sister admits that my mom is the one who called CPS. I forgot to mention that, but yeah. In my first post when I wrote about the cop showing up to our house, I forgot to mention the CPS worker. I thought I added in there, but going back over it with my husband I realized I didn't. I just kept forgetting to add that in as everything just started to delve deeper into hell. I kind of mentioned that the cops, and the CPS worker, we're here to follow up on the accusations that my husband was abusing our daughter and I. The abuse ranged from sexual to physical and I had a feeling my mom was behind it, but I had no proof. My sister told us that my mom had plans on filing for grandparents' rights, but grandparents' rights isn't a thing here. While I was talking to my sister, her son started crying and then she started crying some more, covered her ears and started screaming at her son to shut up. The baby was just hungry. My sister started crying hard and saying that she couldn't do it. She couldn't take care of her son. In my last post someone asked, if your grandpa cut your mom off, how does she have money? Or something like that. Well, I mentioned my grandmother gave my mom a lot of money when she died, but I also mentioned the family theory, that my grandfather gave my mom money to have a hysterectomy. Well, it turns out that is not a theory, but it is true. My mom got a case of the baby rabies, so she pressured my 14-year-old sister into poking holes into her condoms. So when the next time my sister has sex with her boyfriend she will get pregnant and my mom would become a grandma. My mom promised to help with my sister's son, but ever since the baby has been born my mom hasn't left a finger to help. Besides taking pictures of him in shirts saying grandma's baby and SHT like that. I'm surprised that my sister believes that, because my mom did not even take care of her. I asked what about the baby's father? She told me that he left her cause she admitted to him that she baby trapped him. I asked what about the housemaids and the nannies. My mom had some type of mental break and fired all of them. I then asked her about her dad. Has she tried to contact him? She told me that he gave up on her a long time ago and that he doesn't want anything to do with her. My sister just broke down saying she can't take care of her son. She loves him but she doesn't want her son and she doesn't know what to do. I found out my sister hadn't slept for days, so I told her to get some rest and I'll take care of her son and I'll try to contact her dad. The same night I was able to call her dad and explain that things are crazy here, and if he can try and help his daughter that would be nice. He was so adamant that he did not want anything to do with his child and I can understand. My sister effed him up mentally and he felt betrayed by the actions of my sister. I understand that, but his daughter needs him. And besides, 4 of my bills live in this house with their families, she can't stay here. I told him to do it for his grandson, which shocked him, because he didn't know my sister was pregnant. He sighs and says he would see what he can do. My sister slept for 2 days, and in that time my mom realized my sister was gone. My mom started to freak out and report my sister as missing. I call my granddad so he can tell his crazy child that her daughter is in good hands. I told my granddad that I was able to contact my sister's father, and I shared what my sister told me. I told him to make sure my little brothers are safe. Now that my sister left, my mother probably will go crazy and might try to take the boys. But when my sister was up, she realized her dad had arrived. My sister just kept apologizing, and that was an emotional time for both of them. If you care, my sister was never really a daddy's girl and always preferred our mom over him. So when my mom started having her affairs, she was able to manipulate my sister into keeping secrets and actually helping my mom hide them. Like, let's say my sister and mom will go on a girls' trip, my mom will just use that girls' trip to have affairs. Turns out my little brothers are not their dads, and my sister knew about it, and by the time my mom and their dad got divorced, my sister chose my mom. My sister even said to her dad, to his face, that she wished our mom's affair partner, the one that my mom is currently married to, was her real dad. Being betrayed by your wife is devastating, but being betrayed by your own daughter is a new low hit. By the way, the reason why we all found out my mom's was cheating on her husband was because we walked on her having sex with my 17-year-old boyfriend. FCKU, Devin. If you're reading this, I know you are, you piece of SHT, suck my DCK, and I hope you enjoy the gonorrhea my mom gave you. You were the one that got me into drugs at age 14, and I hate you. FCKU, Devin. You big head and little arms, having. Devin, you're the human equivalent of Discord light mode, and I hope your DCK falls off, or if you can even call it that. So that's why my ex-stepdad separated himself from my sister. He loves my little brothers, by the way. He's always picking them up, taking them on vacation, talking to them and hanging out with them, but he never interacts with my sister. Eventually my brothers came over to spend time with their dad, because they haven't seen him in a while. Then my siblings' dad talked to my grandfather, and they both decided it would be best for my siblings to go live with their dad. But, before my sister left, I asked her how she knew where our house was. Our mom told her. I asked how our mom knew, and my sister said she didn't know. Cool. Also, if you're asking if we report the abuse that my sister suffered living with my mom knows how to FCK you up without leaving a bruise, but we did report it. My mom surprisingly didn't go crazy like we all thought. She didn't try to take the boys or anything like that, she was surprisingly silent. But she was silently acting out her revenge. Now, on to Satan. I'm going to keep this part extremely vague because a lot of legal things are happening right now, but my mom and her cult following knew where we were the whole time. They got caught in 4K setting my in-laws' house on fire, and now they're missing. They were trying to kill all of us, and the reason why we're all not dead? We all was having a slumber party at Mill. There's a warrant out for my family's arrest. They lost her. They lost my mom. When I mean by they, I don't mean my family that's on my side, I also mean the police. They f***ing lost her. Everything in her house is still there, however, her social media is gone, her siblings are gone, and no one knows where they went. Now I'm afraid for my life. And it doesn't help that we still don't know who gave my mom those pictures of my children, nor do we know who was the one who gave our location. We have been doing what you all suggesting, faking information and giving to different people, but we still haven't found out who f***ing gave my mom the information, and I'm terrified. Not just for my children, but for myself. I'm losing it. Some of you think I'm being tough. I'm so brave that I just keep moving forward. That is bullshit. I have been having tons of f***ing nightmares of my mom taking my children, killing my husband and leaving me destitute. I have been having multiple mental breakdowns. I just cried while doing nothing. I'm not doing okay. Some of my brothers-in-laws and their wives jumped on me after half of their house burned down, with the fact that all of this is my fault. Which it is. The results of that made me slip back into 13-year-old me, and I hurt myself. I just couldn't take the pressure from people that used to treat me like my family. And some of them were telling my husband to divorce me, because I'm just going to drag him deeper into my mess. I wish I never let that woman back into my life. If I did, none of this would have happened. I got diagnosed with depression and am currently on some anti-version of it. My in-laws were divided into people that wish my husband had never met me and the people that feel sorry for me. That was until I ended up in the hospital, and my mother-in-law lost it on all of them. But, there's a high possibility that my oldest brother-in-law and his wife are divorcing now, and that one's on me. Two different views about the situation, and it caused the rift between both of them. It's my fault. My husband has been really stepping up and taking care of everything, Because I am legit useless at the moment. To cheer me up, my husband let me open my Christmas gift early, a photo album and with a title that says the life of, my middle name. My husband and my dad have been working on it for a long time and they were planning on giving it to me this year. It was full of my milestones, accomplishments, and things I have done for other people. And I cried when I felt like less of a burden. We're currently staying with a friend of my husband's. I know this friend's daughter from high school and she always comes down for the holidays, so it's really nice to see her again. And that's basically my effed up update. As I type this, my husband and his friend are being turned into pretty little princesses by their nieces/daughters. Also, my dad. This Christmas would be the first without him and I hate it. Every year my dad and I would watch Home Alone, smoke a joint, get high and then watch the lights on the Christmas tree. When my daughter was born my dad and I continued our routine, but left out the marijuana. I feel lost. Will this feeling ever go away? My birthday is on the 2 and I not think I can handle it. That's all I have to say about that, so goodbye for now. Maybe I will share some more stories about my mom to try to make me feel less stressed.